pause just for a moment and really take a look at your screen. It's not just pixels and codes, it's a window into the future we are all creating. Behind everything you see, there's an algorithm quietly shaping how we live, think, and connect. Innovation is the tool, but our presence and our intention shapes what it becomes. So last night, I was doing something very intentional. I was scrolling through social media, and this picture popped up of my friend on the beach. Sunset, peace, like the whole vibe. I felt happy when I saw it, but also a little jealous, and I hope you don't tell her it is. And I thought, isn't this a great way to kick off a presentation about Zen, right? But what if social media was actually designed to optimize for our well-being? What if it helped us to feel better, to reduce our anxiety instead of that constant comparison? Because let's be honest, who here doesn't want to live a happier life? And do you really believe AI can help us get there? It's an interesting question. It reveals this paradox that we are all in. On the one hand, we want to build for fast growth, profits, but also, hopefully, all of us want to leave a meaningful legacy for ourselves and future generations. So as machines are becoming more intelligent, are we enriching or diminishing the human experience? Every AI we create shapes the future of our world and ourselves. So let's explore the Zen of AI, where ancient wisdom meets AI's power to create a future not just for efficiency, but for our shared well-being and happiness. So to set the stage, I would like to take you on my personal journey on this topic. This started about 10 years ago when I took one of the most transformative journeys of my life. Not to Bali, but inwards, into silence, discomfort, and ultimately some clarity. It turns out that Zen meant a lot of self-confronting. Because, like many of us, I wore the mask of high achievement from a very young age. At 11, at judo competition, I would win the gold medal, but a voice in my head would whisper, "You only won because the opponent was weak." At 12, in gymnastics, I hated how my body looked in the mirror. And at 15, when I picked up the viola and was able to perform in an orchestra only to tell myself, don't play too loud, they'll hear how bad you are. And then my career, right, this string of achievements, a master in physics, joining renewable energy startups, making it to Google, where I currently help customers grow with AI. I kept achieving, but never arriving. On paper, it all sounded perfect, but inside, I felt numb. Every achievement felt hollow, and I started to ask myself, what's the point of success if it doesn't bring lasting joy? So I pressed pause, literally pause. I signed up for a 14-day silent retreat meditation. No talking, no phones, no books, just me, my breath, and my mind. Sounds peaceful, right? Unfortunately, it wasn't. At first, it was just chaos. My brain was screaming for distractions, email, dopamine hits. But as the noise started to fade, I discovered this interconnected pattern of self-judgment, old memories, and familiar voices like, "You are not enough, keep proving yourself." They were actually all linked. And as I continued to sit and follow my breath, I also discovered this inner stillness, like a deep and quiet peace, my own inner Zen, so to speak. A sacred space always there, I just wasn't aware of it. And in that stillness, I saw my true addiction, not just to my phone, but to the endless pursuit of external validation and the draining comparison to be a better version of myself. And that journey, right, from chaos to calm, from distraction to awareness, is what AI should aim for, trying to bring order without losing our humanity. But if we only focus on efficiency, profit, optimization without deep awareness of its human implications, we risk steering AI in a profoundly wrong direction. Because our phones are already shaping our minds. Because seriously, who hasn't here glanced at her phone during this talk? And there's absolutely no judgment here because you are not alone. Baby boomers spend about 3.5 hours a day scrolling, teens up to 8, fueling our anxiety and hijacking our attention. And now imagine an AI that's not just in your pocket, but literally everywhere, tracking your choices, predicting your cravings, and never ever taking a break. As AI gets smarter, it risks replacing the moments that we need most: time for reflection, presence, discomfort, that sacred pause between stimulus and response. Because can AI pause? Can it wonder? Can it act freely? How we answer these questions shapes us. Because it's not just about making AI faster, it's also about making it wiser. A tool perhaps that sparks joy, supports our minds, deepens our connections. AI won't just shape what's on your screen, it will shape us, our choices, our habits, and maybe even our relationships. And that's where the Zen of AI begins. What if AI reminded us to take a breath, to feel gratitude, to be fully here? The power is ours. With awareness, we can build tech that supports better sleep, real laughter, genuine togetherness. Because as AI reshapes the world, the real question I'm asking you is, what kind of human experience do you want to have? Without intention, life tends to shrink. But with awareness, tech becomes a partner, helping us to live with more meaning, calm, and connection. And yes, still with efficiency, but in a way that our humanity and not just our data can truly thrive. And this is where the Zen of AI offers a vital compass. But awareness is just the start. We must also learn to see beyond this illusion of separation. Both ancient wisdom and science agree. We are not isolated users. We are all deeply interconnected with each other, with nature, with every choice we make offline and also online. So going back to our paradox, the more powerful technology gets, the more it's asking us to slow down, to pay attention so we can lead with intention. Because every choice is part of a vast web. And once you see this web, you cannot unsee it. So if you feel comfortable, just take a moment to close your eyes and imagine you're in a forest. There are tall trees, rustling leaves, a deer that is moving quietly. And now open your eyes. To the eyes, right, it might look just like trees. But beneath the surface, there's this vast fungal network called the Woods Wide Web. And through it, trees share their nutrients. They support their old, they warn each other of danger. This forest isn't just growing, it's communicating, it's cooperating, it's thriving. So that's an example of the forest. Now let's take a look at our digital landscape. When you and I are scrolling late at night, and I know we all do, we think we're making isolated choices, but are we? Remember those Facebook quizzes? What kind of pizza are you? Turns out I'm a mushroom, which is pretty accurate if you ask me. But behind the fun, something deeper was happening. Those quizzes were mapping our personalities and they were turning us into psychological blueprints. In 2016, Cambridge Analytica used them to micro-target political messages down to our fears and our dreams. A small tweak in an algorithm, and suddenly emotions were ignited, votes were shifted, and history took a turn, swaying important events such as the Brexit and the US election. What seemed harmless had massive ripple effects. And this reveals how blind spots in an interconnected system can have far-reaching, unintended consequences. Because algorithms aren't just reflecting our world, they're actively reshaping it. quietly, powerfully, and without stopping. So, from the forest to Facebook, they both reveal a truth. Everything is connected. Connected. Nothing stands alone. Everything depends on what came before. In Buddhism, this is called the dependent origination, the idea that everything arises from prior conditions. Because remember that photo of my friend on the beach when I felt joy and a little envy? That feeling wasn't random. It came from my memory, it came from my culture, and yes, also from the algorithm that was designed to keep comparing me. Our emotions are interconnected. They are woven into our habits, our histories, and yes, even with our algorithms. So let's try a quick experiment right here, just in your mind. Imagine you are at a crossroad and there are two paths. You take the first path and you just wander aimlessly. You don't know where you're going. How do you feel? Now return to the crossroad, and this time you take the second path. But before we step into it, you set a clear intention like, I want to build a successful business, or I want to feel happy. And now you take a step. How do you feel? Did you notice any difference? That moment when you set your intention, that's where your power is. Because it's not just what you do, but why you do it and the meaning that you give to it. And that's the Zen of engaging with anything, especially technology. And this isn't just philosophy, it also reflects something deeper about our quantum reality. So, if you don't mind to indulge the physics nerd for me for just one moment. In quantum physics, there's a famous thought experiment called Schrodinger's cat. A cat is sealed in a box with a device that is triggered by a random quantum event. It has a 50-50% chance of releasing a deadly poison. Is the cat dead or alive? Until you look, they are actually both. The cat is in this superposition where multiple outcomes exist at once. Like when you read a story, you can have two endings in your head until you actually turn the final page. And here's the twist. The moment you open the box, you collapse that superposition of possibilities into one. Either you killed the cat or it's still living. The simple takeaway here is that observation doesn't just reveal reality, it actively helps to create it. And here's why this matters for AI, because Gen AI functions in a remarkable similar way. Because when a model creates an image or text, it's basically pulling from this vast swirling storm of infinite possibilities. It's sort of in this digital superposition of ideas until your prompt. Your prompt is the act of observation, is what collapses this boundless clouds of potential into a single definite outcome. So here's the powerful question. What's your prompt shaping into existence? Every input you give, your clicks, your swipes, your words, your line of codes, it isn't just a command. It's an act of carving reality out of a digital quantum soup. So we just explored how our prompts, driven by our intention, collapse this superposition of possibilities in Gen AI. And this act of shaping potential into reality also echoes in ancient wisdom. In Taoism, there's this idea of the uncarved block, which urges us to pause before we shape reality, before a tree becomes the chair, before your idea solidifies into a KPI. We are invited to slow it down. Lao Tzu, the ancient Chinese philosopher and founder of Taoism, once said, exhibit the unadorned, embrace the uncarved block, lessen self-interest, make few your desires. This path means doing less, but with more purpose. The uncarved blocks invite us to resist over-optimization to find deeper harmony, even with technology. Because honestly, if my life gets more optimized, I might just become a spreadsheet. And here's a paradox again. AI actually does the opposite. It accelerates our ambition. It automates our decisions. It takes over the mundane, like our grocery list, our emails, maybe even our jobs. But if all challenge vanish, what happens to joy? What happens to meaning? Because imagine a future where we no longer know how to drive, where the steering wheel just sits there unused because every move is made by an algorithm. What do we lose when we stop steering our own life? This is our paradox. If every day felt like a vacation, would a single sunset still move you? If all struggle disappeared, could the high still touch you? AI sort of promises ease by removing friction, but at what cost to humanity? The real question isn't, can AI do it? But should we let it? So as we awaken to this web connecting our minds, meanings, machines, we can see it's alive, it's evolving. But even with awareness, big questions remain like, why are we even here? What is even the purpose of life? That uncertainty isn't a flaw, it's a mirror, because reality itself is a paradox. And for the physics nerd watching, this is more than just philosophy, because take light. It's expensive, full of possibility, but also can act as a particle, precise and specific, allowing us to harvest its energy and power. What it is depends on how we look. AI is the same, can be this wave generating endless ideas, or a particle delivering focused outcomes. Our intention shapes it. And this is the essence of yin and yang. There are two forces, not in conflict, but in balance. So to design AI wisely, we must recognize this paradox and try to unleash its creativity and power, but also anchoring it in fairness, accountability, and humanity. Because remember searching for a CEO and an image generator, what did we usually see, right? The white man in the Navy suit. The machine did not invent this story. We all did. With every click, with every upload, every past decision is seeded in the next wave of creativity, but also bias. And yes, the results may look different now, but that did not happen by accident. It happened because we brought intention to it, because we questioned the default and we rewrote the story. AI is both our mirror and our magnifier. It reflects who we are and it amplifies it at scale. So the paradox asks us to decide, do you accept the reflection or do you take responsibility to change it? So here's the deal. AI is like this brilliant friend who is great at physics, but sometimes just forgets to ask you, hey, how are you doing? We can build an AI that's faster and smarter, but also wiser, kinder, and truly helpful. The Zen of AI isn't about unplugging, it's about plugging into what makes us human: awareness, connection, and maybe even an awkward silence. How we design AI shapes not just machines, but the future of our humanity. So, who do you want to be? The one who lets the algorithm drive, or the one who steers it with intention? Pause, breathe, question, and then build. Because when awareness meets action, technology partners with us to create a richer life. Let's shape AI's future with clarity, care, and meaning. And if your phone reminds you to take a breath sometimes, I would say that's progress. So to summarize, the Zen of AI calls us to be conscious humans, to first of all cultivate awareness, pause, and ask, what is AI doing to me, not just for me? To embrace interconnectedness, see this web of cause and effect, and build AI that truly enriches our lives and communities. And lastly, to recognize the paradox, decide what future you want to live in, and make success worth living for. That is the Zen of AI. It's a path to purpose and happiness. Let's not just imagine that future, let's just build it together. So thank you so much for watching. If you want to know more, please take a look at zenofai.us and sign up for a free workshop or join us for a live retreat this summer in Italy. Thank you so much.